Greetings, Mr. Presiding Officer and fellow Toastmasters. How often do you take a moment out of your daily lives to consider what a life worth living means to you? What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? And the bigger question is, if you don't, why don't you? I never really considered that question until about 20 years ago, when this incredibly passionate Italian basketball coach came on the ESPY Awards. Perhaps some of you know him, Jim Valvano. He actually was dying of cancer at the time, and unbeknownst to those in the crowd, he had about 2 months to live. His body full of sores, and his strength sapped. He spoke to the audience very eloquently about what it takes to live a passionate and joyful life. And he said there are 3 key ingredients that you should engage in every single day of your life if you want to enjoy a happy life. Number 1 is laugh. Find something every single day to take a moment and get a nice big belly laugh. Number 2 is to engage in thought. Think about what's important. Think about what is inspiring to you, about what pulls you forward in the direction of your dreams. And number 3, have yourself moved to tears. Whether they be joyful tears or sorrowful tears, have yourself moved to tears. And he finished off his speech by saying, man, if you can laugh, think, and cry every single day, 7 days a week, you are going to have an extraordinary life. So think about that for a moment. So I took a long time to think about that. Now with regard to laughter, laughter is not very easy for me. I tend to be a pretty serious, passionate person. However, I try to laugh every single day, whether it be on social media. I don't know how many of you just recently went on and saw that 8th grader in his graduation speech who did the voices of all the presidential candidates. It lasted about 8 minutes. About 3 minutes in, I was rolling on the floor laughing. Or I'll listen to my Sirius radio on the way home and listen to some comedy. Larry the Cable Guy. Who knows, I find him funny. Or I could be on a hike with our own Patrick McGinty. Now, if you've been around Patrick long enough, you can't help but laugh. He is absolutely a joy to be around and comical. And this one particular hike, I remember, we went on a hike and all he could talk about was his new diet of prunes. Talking about prunes and how he all of a sudden was going to be so much more regular. And here I am going on this hike, and we're just starting out on the hike, and I'm thinking, I'm trying not to go to the bathroom for the next 3 hours, and you're talking about eating prunes. Patrick is a joy to be around, and he always makes me laugh. And then there's thought. Now, I had the great fortune of working for a candidate for President of the United States in 2004. Some of you may or may not know him. His name was Dennis Kucinich. And I got to travel around the country with him as his personal aide / bodyguard. Dennis and I would stay up late at night wherever we were staying, and he would engage me in talks about peace, environmental improvements, world politics, being kind to everybody. I mean, all these different subjects. And I laugh about it because I was like this little 16-year-old schoolgirl who had a crush, and I would just sit there and just listen to him talk and wax eloquently about his vision of the world. And I remember I was to meet him in Seattle one day and pick him up, and I told my daughter, I said, I want you to come with me because I never got to meet my father's heroes, but I want you to meet one of mine. And before we went to the engagement, we went out to lunch. And Dennis excused himself while my daughter and I and his campaign manager were eating lunch. And unbeknownst to me, he went to a bookstore and he picked out a book about a unicorn. And again, he sat down in the bookstore and he wrote inside the cover a full page specifically to my daughter about what it meant to be a unicorn and maintain your own individuality, no matter what anybody else thought. And he came back and he presented it to my daughter. And I thought to myself, who takes the time out, much less a presidential candidate who's very busy, who takes the time out to write something to the daughter of his bodyguard? I was absolutely so moved by Dennis Kucinich. And he always engaged me to think higher. And lastly, cry. Now, for anybody who knows me, I cry pretty easy. I'm a vulnerable, emotional human being. I can cry at a construction commercial. I mean, at the tip of a hat, I start shedding tears. So I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you tonight, about what engages me in moving me to tears. And I remember back, does everybody remember Chicken Soup for the Soul? There was a story in Chicken Soup for the Soul that touched me greatly. And it was about this man, this executive. And the title of the story was Who You Are Makes a Difference. And this executive, this junior executive had come to him and was involved in this project. And he told the executive, he said, I was told to come to 3 people and give them each a ribbon who have made an impact in my life and tell them how they've made a difference in my life. So the junior executive came to him and the executive was shocked. So he went home that night and he sat down with his son. And he told his son, imagine, I had no idea the impact I had on this guy. He came to me and told me I made a difference in his life. I never knew. Well, I just wanted to let you know, son, that I don't spend much time with you. And I know we don't hang out very much, and I know we have our differences. But I just want to let you know that I love you with all my heart. And besides your mother, you are the most important person in the world to me. And at that point, the son was absolutely sobbing. And he said, Dad, I'm so glad you told me that tonight. Because tomorrow I was thinking about committing suicide. And now I don't have to. Amazing, amazing story. So, everybody's ingredients may be different. Laughter, tears, thought, that may not be your ingredients to what it means to live a passionate, joyful, exciting life. But what I do encourage you to do is take the time for yourselves and for the people around you that love you and get clear about every single day, what is it that has me living a joyful, passionate, thriving existence. And give that present to yourself. And dare to live a life beyond your wildest dreams. Thank you very much.